Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience episode number 548. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. I'm so excited. Today we have a seasoned healthcare leader with over 17 years of experience and the visionary founder and CEO of Safe Harbor Home Healthcare. From psychiatric nursing to executive leadership, our guest has dedicated his career to redefining home-based care with compassion, innovation, and clinical excellence. Welcome, Carlos Johnson.
Thank you, Dr. Richards, for that warm welcome.
I've given our audience such a brief bio. Fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your business.
Sure. Safe Harbor Home Healthcare. We were founded in 2020. We are a home healthcare organization. We serve primarily individuals with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities, also individuals who have struggles with mental health and addiction. We also do some private pay. We also have some private pay clients with our elderly population. One thing that's important for me that people know is, I'm just not in this line of work just because I woke up one day and decided I wanted to be a CEO. I actually started as a caregiver back in undergrad, and I worked my way up even while, in school, and then eventually going back to nursing school. I kept coming back to this caregiving role. And I said, one day I'm going to do this, but in a different capacity. I'm going to do it and I'm going to be the boss that I never had. And I had the opportunity to do that in 2020.
This is very near and dear to me. Home healthcare for many reasons. One, I am seasoned and aging. And two, I actually work in the senior space. What is something, Carlos, that we don't know about the industry as consumers that we should know?
I would say as it pertains to healthcare, people need to know that it is a balloon term. I think sometimes when you think about home healthcare, you think it's just like this cookie cutter term, like a one size fits all, but it's not. It's multifaceted. Just like you said, we have our elderly population and senior care, mental health addiction services, disabilities, and all of these individuals come with very specific needs. And it needs to be, the care that we provide them needs to be patient-centered. And I think, once we grasp that, it'll be, beneficial to the people that we serve, and it'll help us be better providers.
I'm talking to the millennials, the Gen X's, and on those that are not there yet. How should they prepare for that later life care?
Good question. I think the first thing that they need to do in preparing for later life care is begin to look at their life as a whole. Look at the things that they want to accomplish. What do they begin to have those conversations, hey, although I might be young now, but as I begin to age, what do I want life and my care to look like? What are the conversations and the key players who are going to be involved in that? And I think you just have to kind of start there. I think sometimes we as a community, specifically a Black community, we don't like to have those conversations because it feels kind of taboo at times, and you kind of stay away from it, but they're necessary. Because oftentimes we find once we're there at that later stage in life, we haven't had the conversations and it's often too late. So I would just say having those necessary talks.
Talk about life as a CEO and a father.
Yeah. So life as a CEO and a father, it can definitely be a double-edged sword at times. I will say that there are times where, for any CEO, work-life balance is always going to be a challenging thing. It's a day-by-day thing. There are times where, in order to provide a certain lifestyle for my children, I may miss a few bedtimes, or I might not make it to every event. So you just have to prioritize and have hard boundaries in place, because on the one end, you look at it like I'm trying to create generational wealth and I want to be a blessing to my children and their children. But on the other hand, it's just kind of like, I don't want to miss these crucial moments. So it's just all about finding a balance. That's still something that I am trying to do on a daily basis. My boys, they are 17, my twins are 3, and I have a 4-year-old. So just trying to be there for all of them because they all have very specific needs. And, especially for the younger ones, they're close in age, but they are their own little people. So just it can be hard at times. And I think especially for males, we have this thing we want to provide. But sometimes providing and paying the bills, those aren't the only factors in raising children. They need the nurture, they need your time, they need your attention. So
That's good. Thanks for that. Advice you wish you had followed.
advice I wish that I would have followed was early on establishing a team. I think when I initially started years ago, I had the mentality that I can do it all alone. And that's feasible for a very short period of time. You actually stunt your own growth and your potential revenue coming in because there's only so much that one person can do. Can't always be the scheduler, the bookkeeper, the accounting, CEO, all of those things. It took me about 2 years in to finally get my senior leadership team in place and my regional team in place. And once I did that, they created a space for me to where it's like if I come into the office 5 days a week or 5 days a year, my organization runs the same because they have been trained, they have grasped the concept, and they understand my heart and my intention for the individuals we serve and for this business. And it was one of the best decisions that I could have made. And I should have done it earlier. But sometimes when you go into new businesses and you're seeing money that you've never seen before, you're just like, oh, I want to keep it all for self. And you can't do that because you'll burn out.
Mhm. And speaking of that, someone's listening as an entrepreneur and you're talking about building a team and you're not an island. And I say when you elevate and when you delegate, you elevate.
Absolutely.
And so how do you find that balance in terms of, from a financial perspective, at what point should you grow and build your team out?
So I feel like anytime you are at a place and when you start to do at least 6 figures and revenue, I think you're at a place where you need to put a team in place, just so they can continue on. Especially if you're making high 6 figures within your first year or two, you kind of already know you have a good thing going and it can really go far. But you need some key players to help you shape the trajectory of the business.
Absolutely. And what was that aha moment, Carlos, when you knew that your business was going to be successful?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. I think the moment I realized it is one day we were getting a lot of feedback from one of the counties we serve. It was a particular individual that they had listed as like one of the top 3 most challenging individuals to work with. And we worked with this individual, and it was tough, even for me, even with my background and psychiatric care, dual diagnoses, my caregivers, and all of their expertise. But we were able to break through, stabilize that client, and the county then began asking us like, hey, what is your guys' training model? What are you doing? How did you break through to this individual? And they actually had some of my caregivers going out to other agencies, and they had some trainings at the local board. And people just began to kind of see how we did things, and they could go out and incorporate it at their agencies. And it was in that moment I knew I was like, there's something special about Safe Harbor, and we're going to go for her. And that was the moment for me.
So, speaking of training, do you do training to other organizations? Tell us about your model. What does it encompass?
Yeah. So as far as training for other organizations, there are some things that we do in-house, obviously for our own staff, but we do for outside staff as well. So we have multiple nurses on our senior leadership team. They do what's called a med administration certification, and this basically certifies caregivers in home to be able to pass oral medications, do tube feedings, and insulin if it's warranted for the individual. We do those training for our people because they need it. But then for a fee, other organizations can send their staff members here to be certified, and then they will go out and provide those services for the people that they serve. We also do BLS, first aid CPR trainings here, and we do that for in-house and other agencies. And then lastly, we do restraint training. We have multiple restraint trainers on staff here. So we serve multiple counties where, restraints are needed. So people can send, theirs to us, or we'll come to them to provide these trainings.
Someone is interested in your services, tell them where you're located and how can they connect.
Sure. So our main office is located in Bedford, Ohio. If they're interested in any of those services, you can give us a call. Our number is 440-278-4537, or you can reach out to us at info@safeharborhhc.net, and someone will connect with you and we'll definitely be happy to assist you.
Thank you for that. What problem, Carlos, exists in the world today that you would like to solve?
I just think that we as a people, we lack compassion for one another. I think we're in a society where it's just like, everyone is just out for themselves and, what will serve them. And I feel like if we can be a little bit more compassionate to not just saying just to our neighbors, to our colleagues, the people we work with, I feel like the world would be a kinder place, a more inclusive place, and people would feel a lot safer. If I could change that, if I had the power to on a larger scale, I would definitely do that. But for now, I'm just doing it one person and one client at a time.
What is your zone of genius?
So zone of genius, I guess I would kind of look at that as like specialty or niche. I think for me, I would say home health care, specifically anybody with any type of mental health issues, developmental, intellectual disability, anybody struggling with addiction. Those are probably, I would say, my zones of genius there. Those are areas that I have a lot of experience in, but those are also areas that are near and dear to my heart for many reasons.
And when you speak about individuals with disabilities, and noticing kind of an uptick in terms of young people specifically dealing with their mental wellness and also in terms of learning disabilities. And a person is listening to this and they're thinking that their child is on the spectrum.
Mhm.
Or they're struggling with certain mental challenges. What advice would you give that person that's struggling with that?
Yeah, good question. I think if there's an individual and they feel that their child is struggling with, could possibly be on the spectrum, obviously I would say consult with your pediatrician first and foremost. Just kind of, there's some base level assessments that they can provide in office. And then the majority of the time they will then refer out to whoever is the servicing county board of developmental disabilities. I can just give you an example for my twins. They were connected to a county board of developmental disabilities and for pediatrics, and they were doing pretty much like play therapy. When you're under 3, it's really hard to diagnose some of those things. So at best, they're just observing and kind of learning. And then when you get to that, that 3-year-old age, if they still have any type of suspicions, they'll transfer it over to the school district and they'll do a formal assessment that involves a lot of clinicians, and they'll say, hey, we suspect they may, have some type of autism spectrum disorder, and these are the categories where we see it. So, and then you would go from there. And then they'll usually collaborate the district with the pediatrician. If it's a mental health thing, that's something else that I would definitely go back to the pediatrician or just their doctor. If they don't have a mental health nurse practitioner or psychiatrist or psychologist, I would definitely seek a referral and request a formal evaluation and see if there are some mental health, issues there that need to be treated or could benefit from some type of therapy, whether it's talk or medication.
Thank you for that. What is the best advice and the takeaway you want our listeners to glean from this conversation?
Yeah. So the best advice I can give for someone, and I guess this is more so aimed towards anyone who's considering going into entrepreneurship, regardless of, the realm or what business you're trying to start, the best advice I would give is just start. I think a lot of times we wait for the perfect timing, the perfect situation, everything to be right with our kids, our families. And if we're waiting for perfection, I always say we are perfectly imperfect people. We'll be waiting forever. So sometimes you literally just have to take that leap of faith. The biggest things and the biggest blessings that have come to me, in my life have come from some of the most challenging and scariest decisions that I've ever had to make. Excuse me. So I would just say, just start and don't be discouraged, because there will be moments where you are faced with adversity or you get a no. Delay does not mean denied. You just keep going, keep pushing. And I feel like the sky is the limit. You can have anything that you want as long as you're willing to work for it.
What is the one thing that you do daily, Carlos, that makes impact in the lives of individuals?
So on a daily basis, whether it's the same person or multiple, individuals, I show up for people. And showing up looks like it can be a lot of things. Whether it's someone I know is financially going through something, I'm here. Hey, here's whatever you need. Or if I know somebody's going through a hard time mentally and emotionally, hey, just checking in on you. Do you need anything? Do you need to vent? Do you need to yell, cry? Do we need to laugh like we've lost our minds? Those type of things. I let people know, whether it's family, friends, clients, or a stranger, regardless of how busy my schedule may be, because I care for you and you're important to me, I'm going to make time to be present and to show up for you.
As a leader, we're seeing some challenging with employees, hiring, retaining, keeping them motivated. We hear about the quiet quit, where individuals are working, but they've really checked out.
Yeah.
As a leader, Carlos, how do you motivate and keep your employees at that level of excellence? Because when you're serving people, especially vulnerable people, we all fall short, but you have to be on point like 99% of the time.
Yeah. For us, that is definitely a challenge, because with this line of work, when you're talking about, mental health, addictions, disabilities, some of our clients can be aggressive verbally and physically. It's happened. It's actually a common thing with a lot of agencies. So to keep that morale high, one thing I do is we check in on our individuals. And a lot of times I just find through the years that instead of doing what you think is best for individuals, just ask them, because they'll tell you. They don't want the pizza parties. They don't want the gift cards. You'd be surprised. There's been times that, they'll, we'll call it a town hall. They didn't know the terminology for it, but just a session, just where we can come and just say, hey, this is going on over here. This is stressing me out. And, make sure they feel heard. And we'll just let them go. And, we'll ask them, do you want feedback? Do you want advice? Or do you just want us to listen? Things of that nature. In addition to stuff like that, obviously we do things to incentivize, throughout the quarter, throughout the month, just let them know that we appreciate them. And also just on a foundational level, we make sure our rates are high, and we offer a lot of bonuses, and not just those bonuses like, because, oh, someone's called off and we need somebody, no, that's a one-way thing. We offer just because bonuses. Hey, you're doing a good job. Take this and do whatever you want. I think another thing people need to look at, and retaining people, you have to look at what you're offering. Benefits matter, and not just your usual, vision, medical, dental, those type of things. Outside of that, we have a collaborating partner who's a therapist who has their own practice. We have a mental wellness program. We provide 3 to 4 sessions on the agency if there's something going on, if they need any type of grief counseling or just to check in. All of that stuff helps retain, because I tell people all the time, you can hire until you're blue in the face. If you cannot retain, it's null and void.
That's awesome. Let's take a snapshot of the last 30 days. What was your biggest win?
My biggest win in the last 30 days, I would definitely say, is acquiring this new location. I really wanted it. It is on the east side of Cleveland. This is going to be for my individuals, again, with some of those mental health and addiction issues. It's a 7-bedroom property. It was quite a few agencies that was trying to get this property, and I got it. And it wasn't because we did anything extra. We didn't go above what they were asking for. They just said they had a feeling about us and they felt like we were the organization that they wanted to go with. So that was a huge win because since then, since we've renovated it and we started moving individuals in, the space just feels good. It feels like a space where healing is going to take place, some breakthroughs going to take place. So I'm very excited about that.
Congratulations. And how did you celebrate that win?
Honestly, I don't think I've celebrated it yet. I think, I went straight into let's renovate, but a celebration is pending. It's definitely going to happen.
Awesome, awesome. And tell us about, we know in business there's a lot of risk and costly lessons. Tell us about a costly lesson, but what was your takeaway?
Yeah, a costly lesson that I had very early on, it involved like our payroll taxes and business taxes and things that we have to contribute. I thought that, oh, I'll just manage this on my own. I'll call in. I don't want them to add payroll is already sky high. It's no big deal until, you don't do it, you don't pay it. And then the next couple of weeks go by, and then a quarter goes by, and then you're 2 quarters in and some of those things aren't paid. So I got hit with some pretty costly fines and, a nice letter saying you owe X amount of dollars. And I had to bite the bullet. I had to pay it because I was the one that told my payroll organization, do not do it. I'll do it myself. So after that, after I paid it, of course, I called back like, sign me up, take out all of my taxes immediately, every payroll. But I had to hit that brick wall with that one. Taxes are no joke. Being an entrepreneur.
Taxes, that's right. That's right. We can learn from so many successful entrepreneurs like yourself. Talk about a brand or business that's dominating that you admire and why.
A brand or business that's dominating. I would definitely say out here in my region, there is an organization called Convenient Care Home Health. They are Black owned, a Black woman at that. She does an amazing job with her clients. She is all over. She takes a lot of high risk clients, individuals who people often turn the blind eye to. I really love that organization. I love what they're doing, and I love the way that they love their people. They're not just one of those agencies that are just taking people just to take them or just because they can. Every person that comes through their doors, I can honestly say, you can see that they love on them and care about every single one. So they're here. It's convenient care, and they're doing a great job.
Shout out to them.
Yes.
Give us three truths that you've learned in life or business.
Three truths. I would say one is that two things can be true at the same time. Two, it is absolutely and sometimes necessary to say no. It's okay to do that. And the third thing I would say is I've learned that it is okay to make yourself less accessible to individuals. I feel like when you're not as accessible to people, they will appreciate and value your time. So
I
also,
like those. Talk about your top two mentors and
sure.
what lessons do they teach you?
So my top two mentors, my first one would have to be her name is Tanjania Mason. She's a registered nurse. She was one of the toughest nurse managers I've ever had. I was a fairly new nurse, only a couple years in, and I used to remember going to work like, man, her expectations were so high, and she was tough on us. And at times, people thought she was mean, but I think I was able to realize that when she saw something in someone, she challenged and tasked herself with pulling out greatness. And the harder she was, it was only to make you better. And I feel like the nurse that I am to this day has a lot to do with how she taught and how she led. I would say from an agency standpoint, there is another provider here in my state. Her name is Ainsley. I saw that, and what I learned from her is just how to care and love not only your individuals but your staff. She without even teaching, I was working for her, but without her teaching me directly, she showed me how, you can run an agency and be genuine and you don't have to be greedy. You don't have to operate from a place of malice. you can just be about peace and love and genuinely taking good care of people. So she would be the second person, I would say.
Talk to a younger you, Carlos. What advice would you give a younger you?
To the younger me, I would definitely say pace yourself. It's okay to make some mistakes and to bump your head, I would definitely tell myself, there are going to be times that things are going to happen, but it won't happen in the timing in which I wanted it. And just remind myself of a saying that I now live by, that delayed does not mean denied. And I would tell myself to keep going.
I want you to have a monologue. Name this person, living or not.
Mhm.
And they have a person from your lineage, your family. They've inspired you so much. Who is that person, and what are you saying to that person?
It's definitely my grandfather. My grandfather passed in 2006. I'm definitely just saying, thank you. He, in addition to my dad, but my grandfather, he also instilled in me what it meant to be a man, what it meant to have integrity, to be noble, to be a provider, that your name at the end of the day is all you have, what it meant to have good character. So it's just, I think in that conversation, it's just mostly me expressing my gratitude and my love for him for those lessons.
What inspires you to keep going, Carlos?
It's a combination. I, there's a lot of, I think for any CEO, there's a lot of weight. We carry a lot on our shoulders. There's a lot of families who are dependent on this organization to keep going. So I would say my family, my friends, my staff, their children. I want to be able to provide a job for these people. I want to be able to provide, one that will hopefully say forever, when I'm long gone, it will still be here. So if their children's children want to come work for this organization, you know, they can.
What keeps you up late at night, if anything?
What keeps me up, I would definitely say, it's my clients and my staff. I think for all agency owners, we say like we always hire with the best of intention, but sometimes obviously, there's always a bad apple in the bunch. I'm always, because I care so much about my clients, I'm always in a place of wondering, like, I hope, I never want someone to come through the door and they're not making one of my clients feel good, or they're not feeling appreciated, or they're not feeling included. So things like that worries me. I wonder how, they're being treated. And like I said, I know they're being treated well. But again, when you're hiring a lot of people at once and you're consistent with that, we're not afforded the opportunity to sometimes get to know all of the individuals that work for us. So that's always a big worry of mine. And I'm always asking my staff, I'm not clients, you like your staff, right? You don't have any issues. So yeah, keeps me up.
And you kind of answered that, and I was going to ask, do you do like a secret shopper
Oh
type
yeah.
survey?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
important because a lot of our individuals, they have the ability, they can communicate and express their own needs, and they'll tell you, oh, Joe Schmo that you sent here yesterday, send them to another client tomorrow. They'll tell you. So in a respectful way, and it's never anything that's like the person's right there, but just if they're in the office, because we do a lot of stuff together, or activities and things like that, I just, pull them to the side and check in.
Yeah. And sometimes personalities just don't gel.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Carlos, if someone spent a whole day with you, what is something they would learn about you that the average person that's around you don't know about Carlos Johnson?
You hit me with all the good questions, Dr. Richards. Something that they would learn for sure is that I think sometimes because I spend so much of my day and just my life in general and taking care of others, I often don't take care of myself, and I don't take care of myself enough. So, that's something that I'm challenging myself with, about getting better at. There are a lot of times I will go an entire day without eating, or just stopping to take a moment to just take a breath and just kind of take everything in. They're having like some of my mentees, they'll be with me when they first start, and they're just like, man, you go like this every day. And I'm just like, yeah. And that, I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing, but it's an honest thing.
I want you to talk specifically to each one of your sons on this interview. I want you to call their name out, and they may be listening, they're young, and you have a teenager, right? And so the young ones probably won't listen to this podcast, but when they do, I
Mhm.
want you to give a message to each one individually. What are you saying?
So to my oldest, Mikey, he has some struggles with some things. I just want him to know that I'm always in his corner. You know, I love him always. I'm always going to have his back. I want him to, Mikey, I want you to do what you need to do to put your best foot forward and get your life back on track. And when you're ready to put in the work, I'm right here, right beside you. To TJ, who's my 4-year-old, my curious one, TJ, I love you so much. You are probably the only 4-year-old that's 4 going on 40. Oh man. But I love how curious you are about the world, and I hope that never changes. The light that you have in your eyes, the way that you impact rooms, and your presence just, takes over. I hope that never changes. And obviously, to my twins, Tavion and Teron. For Tavion, you are probably one of the most loving toddlers that I have ever met. I hope that sticks with you throughout life. I hope that translate over into you being this loving and compassionate teenager and then adult, because I feel like there are so many people who will be touched and impacted by the way that you love on individuals. And to Tehran, my youngest twin, he is the boss baby. You're the boss baby. Everybody knows it. You are a natural leader and you don't even know it yet. Although you're the youngest, your other brothers look to you for direction and they're all older. I hope that sticks with you and you're able to hone in on that and you're able to guide people. I can see you easily being an amazing entrepreneur. And I'm going to be your biggest fan, all of your guys' biggest fan, cheering you guys on. And everything that I do it for you boys.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that authentic story to your sons. That's powerful. Carlos, if you lost everything today, you had to rebuild. You had 30 days to rebuild. What industry and why would you rebuild?
So I think that I would try to come back into home care. So actually, I'm gonna take that back. So if I lost everything today and I had to go into another industry, I would say that I would go into full-fledged coaching and consulting. So I'm already a business coach and a home care consulting, but there are a lot of individuals that I have seen that have either sold their businesses or stepped away from their businesses and they've opened up consulting firms. And it is something that, as long as you have the expertise, the knowledge, you are able to teach other individuals and you're able to be dedicated to your students and travel and doing these things, you can make a lot of money doing it. So I think that's the lane I would go into. And obviously, I would take my team with me. But yeah, that would be it. And on another end with that, when you're coaching and consulting, you're pretty much at that point just taking care of yourself and your team. So your overhead, as far as payroll and things of that nature, it isn't that high, but the earning potential could be, great. So a consultant firm.
Okay. How did you play today? Or have you played today?
I have not. I
How
have.
will you play today?
So when we're saying play, are we saying like something that we would enjoy just to kind of like relax?
For fun. Yeah.
So I promised my boys that I told him, I said, Daddy has to go to work for a little bit. I know we just got off this flight, but we're going to go to the park. And my nephew, he's sitting outside of my office. So we're going to go throw the ball around a little bit. And I know it's probably going to be one of the twins. They're going to actually go to Sky Zone. So we'll probably do that. It's like an indoor trampoline park. And that'll be it. Spend
Good.
some time with my
Well,
boys.
I am glad that you have play on the agenda today. We're going to reverse roles. If you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
I probably would have asked myself what was my greatest setback and or failure as an entrepreneur. And the honest answer that I would have gave is I gave up on myself early on before I even got to the start of it. I went through the process. It's tedious. It's a long process. It requires a lot. And I didn't I didn't get in the first time. My application was rejected. There were some things that they said were needed, and it wasn't there. And I got into like a funk or a rut, if you will. And for months, I was just like, forget it. I'm not going to do this. And then one, my best friend, she reached out after a period of time and she said, okay, enough is enough. It's time to get in. You didn't get in the first time. It's time to get that application in, get started. And I just remember going back and forth with her, like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm over it. And I stuck with that. And she came back again and she really got on me and I did it. And if it wasn't for her getting on me, my life would not have been changed in the way that it has. So I think that was my greatest failure, was giving up on myself
Wow,
before even getting started.
that's awesome. You have a health symposium
Yes.
coming up. Talk
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah, so it's called the Home Care Symposium. This is our second year doing it. It's an annual symposium. We will be hosted in Cleveland, Ohio this year, November 14th through the 16th. It will be hosted at the Westin Hotel. Tickets actually went on sale today, July 15th. General admission is $400. The add-on experience, which is everything that comes with the general admissions, all of the panels, breakout session, access to the main stage speakers, the Care Connect Lounge and networking, but you also get roundtables and brunch with some of these industry leaders. So with the symposium, what we do is we are pulling together individuals from all around the US, home care, financial advisors, we have attorneys, bankers, we have people who are doing consulting, coming to a place where we are gathering with individuals who are either aspiring agency owners and they're trying to figure out, how do we get started? What do we do once we start? Or B, you are an existing agency owner and you're trying to learn, how can I scale my business? We're doing good, but how do we get to a place of greatness? We're doing six figures, but how can I bring in seven? So those are pretty much the audiences that we cater to. It's going to be phenomenal. We have an amazing lineup this year. Dr. Richards will be on one of our panels talking about aging with dignity. She will also be doing some of our podcasting there. So she's just one of the amazing people that we'll have. But the lineup is great. I would say for anyone who is considering or interested in going, go to the symposium's website, which is www.homecaresymposium.com. All of the information, the speakers, all of that is there. Take a look, and I would love for you guys to join us.
Thank you for that. Let's talk about legacy.
Mhm.
When it's all said and done, Carlos, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as somebody who was honest, had integrity, showed up for people, someone who worked hard. I came from very hardworking parents. They gave us a good start, and I want to continue that and creating that generational wealth for my children and their children. And I just want to be remembered as a good person, not a perfect person, but just a good guy.
Let's talk about artificial intelligence. How do you use it and how do you incorporate it in the business?
Yeah, so AI it's an amazing tool. It took us a little bit because I feel like some people got to the starting line on the start line before we did when using AI. We use it obviously if we need any assistance in, like, drafting emails or statements that we're putting out to staff or just the overall public. We have a couple of AI softwares that, it can manage all of the leaders' calendars and, our staffing stuff. And it's able to take off some of the day-to-day workload for us. because we just kind of put it in there. And the more you use AI tools, the more it learns you. And you don't even have to have these extensive conversations or put in these extensive paragraphs or, recordings of what you need done. It's just going to begin to know you and your organization, and it'll just do it depending on which system you're using. So it's a thing, we are taking it a day at a time with it, but we're definitely incorporating the business.
Thank you for that. We've come to fun facts lightning round, and I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If
Okay.
there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are
Okay.
you ready for the fun fact lightning round?
I'm ready.
What is your favorite comfort food?
Chicken.
The last movie you saw?
Last movie, Despicable Me with my boys.
You relax doing what?
Getting massages.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Favorite singer would definitely be between Anita Baker or Fantasia Barrino.
Your favorite dance song?
Favorite dance song would probably be Pharrell Williams' Happy, because I like dancing with my boys to that song.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Chula. It's like an Indian barbecue place. So I eat them about it weekly.
And your ideal car?
A G-Wagon.
And your favorite sports team?
So I'm going to say the Cleveland Browns because I'm from Cleveland. So just going to stick with the home team.
Carlos Johnson, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you, do business with you, leave all your social media handles, and we so appreciate you.
Yes. So again, you can reach me. My direct email is c.johnson@safeharborhhc.net. Phone number is 440-278-4537. For any coaching or consulting, my work cell is 216-825-0545. And on social media, on Facebook, we're Safe Harbor Home Healthcare. On Instagram, it is Safe Harbor HHC, and the same thing for Twitter.
Thank you, Carlos. That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.